We're talking about the recent shooting in Texas outside a contest which invited participants to draw cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad. The organizer of the event, Pamela Geller, agreed to come to our program and talk to us, but she cancelled her appearance at the very last minute. So we will continue this discussion without Pamela Geller and with our very erudite panel with us right now. Alia, let me start with you again. And are Muslims in the United States held to a higher standard? I was looking at something that came out of Texas. We had one Texan state representative who told her staff that any Muslim who came to her office must be asked to pledge allegiance to America and its laws and to renounce Islamic terrorist groups before she would see them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is our good friend Molly White. And I say that sarcastically. She basically heard of our Texas Muslim Capital Day. We took members of the Muslim community from all across the state, about 600 individuals, which was a record breaker for us, down to Austin to help them participate in the American process and engage with their elected officials, share their concerns, and support them in the ways that they see fit. And when she said that, we took great offense to it. Not only did she say that we needed to pledge allegiance, but she placed an American flag along with an Israeli flag, in a sense saying that we needed to pledge allegiance to both. That, was very disturbing, especially for members of the retired military service who are also members of our Muslim community, and people who have, pledged allegiance on a daily basis. To have them have to have a credentialed visit by pledging allegiance is just absolutely preposterous. Not because Muslims wouldn't pledge allegiance, but because we would never ask that of anybody. And to specifically target a group and say that you're somehow needing some kind of ratification into our society is really dangerous when we set that precedence and we allow it to go through, we allow it to be acceptable. And I do hold our elected officials much higher with regards to their responsibility on their speech. When they say things the way that Molly White did or different representatives across the country, it emboldens people, it empowers them, and gives them a sense of righteousness that when they go and attack or when they commit some kind of crime, they're saying, well, my elected official made this statement, therefore, it should be validated from that. So that's a very dangerous precedent, especially from an elected official perspective.
All right, and Jeffrey, how does the United States legal system distinguish between a gunman who carries out or commits a crime and is considered a criminal, and another who commits a crime and is considered a terrorist? And we know that terrorist is a very loaded term.
Well, terrorists have two goals. One is to commit the crime of violence against an individual, and the other is to instill fear of future harm against a mass audience of people. And so the lone gunman just wants to hurt one person, but the terrorist wants to hurt one person plus more. And as a consequence, our laws have serious punishments for that, including the death penalty.
Manal, Pamela Geller, who I said walked out of the show, she said that to submit to violent intimidation will only encourage it. And one of the sentences, she actually wrote an op-ed piece, and one of her sentences was only 3 words long, and it said, "This is war." Wouldn't a statement like that encourage extremists?
I think it would encourage extremism, and there's also a self-fulfilling prophecy to Pamela Geller's words. I mean, her rhetoric is not that different than the rhetoric that we're seeing emerge from ISIS in terms of the Islamic State. There's two polarizations, there's two extremes. I would say that ISIS is on one, and the hate speech that you're seeing from Pamela Geller, the declaration of war, is definitely the other extreme, and it begins to manifest a clash of civilization, despite the fact that history has always shown a lot of cooperation, community exchanges, social exchanges. I think the most important thing is when you talk about war, there's an assumption you're talking about the other. It's an absolute, a refusal to acknowledge that Muslims are part of the social fabric of America. I have worked on behalf of the United Nations, on behalf of the U.S. government in conflict areas like Afghanistan, like Iraq, really feeding into U.S. national security. And what happens to me every single time I go through the airport is I'm signaled out for a random search. This message is fed by the fear that Pamela Geller's hate speech it gives, and it confirms this idea that no matter what we do, no matter how much we serve, we're not seen as part of the social fabric. And again, I think it's important for every American to take responsibility and to recognize the importance of the American Muslim contribution throughout America's history.
Manal Omar, Alia Salem, Jeffrey Nathan, thanks to all of you for joining us. That's all we have time for, but the conversation continues online. Join us on CCTV America's Facebook page to comment on this or any other show, or chat with us on Twitter at cctv-america. I'm Arnold Naidu in Washington, D.C. Thanks for being with us.